where Chicago Sky rookie forward Angel Reese was ejected from the game last night, the New York Liberty, after drawing consecutive technical fouls.
Angel Reese sidelined, not because of an injury, not because of any off-court scandal, but because she racked up her 8th technical foul of the season. 8 techs, and she's forced to sit. The rule is straightforward: reach that threshold, and you're out. And now, one of the league's most talked about young stars is stuck watching from the bench. To be fair, Reese has always played with fire. We've seen the stare-downs. We've heard the trash talk. We've watched her toe the line. But this time, the line snapped. In a season already brimming with tension, one more whistle tipped it over. And just like that, Reese is back in the headlines.
That's Angel Reese, thinking she's LeBron James, thinking that she's, Kevin Durant, thinking she's James Harden, thinking that, after 2 seasons in the WNBA, she's some sort of commodity that has to be surrounded by the best and greatest players.
And this isn't just another whistle. It feels bigger. Because with Angel Reese, it's never just about a foul. It's about the story around her. The villain label. The too emotional tag. In the WNBA, the rule is black and white. 8 technical fouls means an automatic suspension. No appeals. No exceptions. After Chicago's game against the Connecticut Sun, Reese officially hit that mark. But here's the thing, Reese's game runs on emotion. That edge is what made her a star at LSU. It's what drives her dominance inside the paint. The risk? When that passion spills over, it turns into suspensions, distractions, and debates about whether she's leading her team or holding it back. So this wasn't just a technical foul, it was a flash punt. A moment that dragged her reputation under the spotlight yet again. And instead of cooling things down, Reese poured gasoline on the fire. After the loss, after the suspension became official, she sat down for an interview. But instead of keeping the focus on herself, she widened the scope and pulled her teammates into the conversation.
She buried her coaching staff, buried her teammates, buried, the moves that were made for the front office, and just the general idea of the organization itself, the moves that need to be made. Now, a lot of us have.
Reese didn't hold back. She said the Sky can't roll into next season with the same roster. She called for great players in free agency. She even implied that she and Camila Cardoso were the only guaranteed returnees. And then came the comment about Courtney Vandersloot, a franchise legend, recovering from a torn ACL. Reese suggested the team couldn't count on Vandersloot to return at her age. That one stung. Vandersloot isn't just another player, she's a cornerstone of the Sky's history. For a second-year player to position herself above veterans like that, it struck a nerve. The media jumped on it. Fans saw arrogance. And according to reports, even some of her teammates weren't thrilled.
I don't think I'm frustrated. I probably am frustrated myself right now. I think the language is taken out of context, and I really didn't intentionally mean to put down my teammates because they've been through this with me throughout the whole year. They've busted their ass just how I busted my ass. They showed up for me through thick and thin and in the locker room when nobody could see anything. So I would apologize to my teammates, which I already have, about the article and how it was misconstrued, about what was said. And I just have to be better with my language because I know it's not the message, it's the messenger, and understanding what I say can be taken any kind of way. So I just have to really be better and grow from this.
Reese eventually walked it back. She told reporters her comments were taken out of context, insisting she never meant to slight her teammates. But by then, the damage was already done. The quotes were out there. The locker room had read them. The sting was real. And with the Sky already missing the playoffs, the last thing they needed was another public rift. This is where perception starts to outweigh intent. Maybe Reese thought she was calling for accountability, but what people heard was self-promotion. Instead of lifting her teammates, it sounded like she was cutting them down. And to some, it even came across like a hint she might be eyeing the exit.
I've been telling you all that Angel Reese wants out of Chicago. She's a front runner. She's going to, I said this very early in this season, she's going to be looking to exit the Chicago Sky. The going has gotten tough. And when the going gets tough, Angel Reese gets going, just ask Maryland.
And in sports, leadership gets questioned fast. When Angel Reese's suspension hit the headlines, Stephen A. Smith didn't hold back. He was direct. Angel Reese is a star, but she's not Caitlin Clark, not yet. He highlighted how quickly the league comes down on Reese, while Clark seems to keep her spotlight no matter what. Think about it. Reese told fans the WNBA isn't just about Caitlin Clark, it's about her too. And then, just weeks later, she gets tossed from a game. You couldn't script it better.
And when Angel Reese comes out and says, she ain't the only one everybody's watching, they're watching me too, they're watching others, a day later she gets ejected. I ask a simple question. I don't have an answer. I'm not pretending to have an answer. I'm not going to give you an answer. I'm going to ask you a simple question. If that's Caitlin Clark, does she get ejected from that game?
Reese has stepped right into the very trap the media laid out for her. Stephen A. leaned into the whole fairness versus reality debate, saying, if that was Caitlin Clark, does she get tossed? No. And you'll know it. His point was clear. The rules might look the same on paper, but the whistle doesn't sound the same for everyone. The league protects its golden goose, and everybody knows exactly who that is. Reese, on the other hand, doesn't get that safety net.
That I highlighted was that Caitlin Clark's the golden goose. She happens to be a terrific talent who's white and very, very marketable. The combination of the two things make her the golden goose for the WNBA. Go after her, compete with her, get the better of her at every turn. Nobody's questioning that you can't go after her.
But here's where he really went in on her choices. He said, life ain't fair. Fair is where they judge pigs. The reality is, Clark is the golden goose. You don't bite the hand that feeds the league. Stephen's point couldn't have been clearer. Reese won't win if she keeps battling the business side of the game instead of navigating it wisely. Still, he didn't dismiss her talent. He admitted, the girl can play. She's physical. She's relentless. She's got star power. But if the antics start overshadowing the game, people stop talking about her points and start talking about her techs. That's Stephen at his blunt best. And in his view, Angel Reese is stuck between perception and reality. She has everything she needs to be a force in the WNBA, but the league isn't going to bend for her. It's on her to adjust, or keep living with the villain label that follows her everywhere.
That's Angel Reese and her delusion that we should not be surprised by, because the way she's talked about, the way she's discussed, the way that Ryan Clark and all these other people cape up for Angel Reese and pretend like she's the greatest thing since sliced bread, she's leaned into her delusion. She wants everybody out of here. Do we have the quote where none of this is a secret. Angel Reese is a nightmare to play with and play for.
And then came Jason Whitlock, who didn't pull any punches. His take was blunt. He called Angel Reese immature, more caught up in drama than discipline, more focused on sound bites than basketball. Whitlock argued that her brand is drifting further and further from her game. Instead of headlines about rebounds and wins, it's become texts, ejections, and interviews where she undercuts her own teammates. That's a dangerous road, because the attention might feel good now, but it could wreck her long-term reputation. At the heart of his critique was image. Whitlock believes the league is more than willing to cast Reese as the villain alongside Caitlin Clark. Clark is the safe face of the WNBA, the record breaker, the golden goose, the all-American star. Reese is being positioned as her opposite. And Whitlock warned that if Reese keeps feeding that perception with her words and actions, she's going to get locked into that role for good. And this is where it stretches beyond basketball. Monica McNutt touched on it in her exchange with Stephen A. The way Clark and Reese are framed couldn't be more different. Clark gets painted as the victim, the untouchable star shining through adversity. Reese, on the other hand, gets painted as the villain, the bully, the troublemaker, the loud one.
Conversations hit the mainstream, right? It's easy to see that Caitlin is usually portrayed as the victim and Angel is usually portrayed as the villain, and that is rooted in my observation. Somebody can tell me I'm wrong, but it is rooted in my observation in the racial identity of these women and where they come from.
The problem is that narrative carries racial undertones the media and fans lean into. Reese is a black woman, outspoken, emotional, fiery on the court. Clark is a white woman, quieter, locked in, all about the game. That contrast is easy to exploit, even if it's unfair. And fans weaponize it. Clark's supporters point to Reese's technicals and say, see? Out of control. Reese's backers fire back that Clark gets protected by refs. The cycle fuels clicks, but it hurts both players' careers. Then there's the fan behavior. The WNBA has already had to investigate hateful remarks aimed at Reese, proof that this has crossed beyond rivalry into something dangerous. Stephen A. even stressed that Reese shouldn't be forced to accept disrespect in ways Clark never experiences. This isn't just about basketball, it's about how fans feel entitled to pick sides and tear players down with toxic energy. But here's the business reality. As Stephen A. pointed out, Caitlin Clark is ratings gold. She's the one selling out arenas, driving TV numbers, and pulling in sponsorships.
Look at the profile that it has granted the WNBA. Look at the record ratings they've produced because of her arrival. Once upon a time, they were watching about their audience in Indiana for Indiana Fever games was at about 4,000. Now it's at about 16 to 17,000. The ratings for the WNBA draft was 2.446 million, which was the largest in WNBA history. The doubleheader that opened the season generated over 1.5 million viewers, which was more than the WNBA had accumulated in more than 2 decades. You have all of this stuff going on. Understand, Caitlin Clark is different.
So here's a question. Does Angel Reese lean into the villain role, or does she flip the script and make her game louder than her texts? Right now, that image is swallowing everything else.